Hi, it's me, Chio. This is my first ever YouTube video. Welcome. I'm the author of To Cross a Blade and Dagger. It's a fantasy novel. People in my hometown have asked me how I did it, the challenges I faced, and other questions. I can't answer every single one of them, but I'm here to give you some advice. To clear things up, I chose to self-publish my book after weighing my options. This on its own is a good thing if you prefer that route, but because I can be an impatient person, I face some challenges. If I had done more research, checked my work out more, checked my audience more, in fact, known even a little bit more about the writing and reading community, I would have avoided a lot of problems. Here are the 4 things that I wish I had known before I self-published my first book. Number 1, I wish I knew how expensive editing could be. There are various types of editing and each type is influenced by your skill as a writer. So the more mistakes you make, the more editing to your work and the more the price goes up. Also, most editors charge according to your word counts. So the longer your book, the more money you're going to be coughing up. But having a professional editor is absolutely necessary if you're planning on publishing your book. Because no matter how good you are at English language or any other language you're publishing in, because the work is coming from your mind, you're going to miss a lot of errors you made. Because you're going to be reading your book and seeing what it should be and not what it is. So giving someone who understands these mistakes and has a fresh set of eyes to go through your work and fix all the problems is an absolute must. Still, paying for an editor is a sure deal because once you pay for that work, you're getting an edited manuscript back. Not so much in advertising, which brings me to number 2, advertising and promoting. I'm not a very social person. I like being to myself. I have friends, but not so many that I could sell 1,000 books at one go. I wish I knew how out there I needed to be to get even just one book sold. Because trust me, you might think, but I have friends and family who are going to buy my work. No. You might have 5, 10, 100 family members and friends or more, for those of you who can make more friends. But they're not going to buy your book. No, it's not because they don't love you or care about you. They just don't care about your book. And it's not their fault. It's not a problem. It's just they don't care about your book. So you could tell them you wrote the most awesome book out there in the world, but they aren't going to spend a dime getting it. They might not even want it for free. Because they are your family or your friends, doesn't mean they like the same things you like. I mean, come on, how possible is it that every single person you know, every family member, every friend is going to like the same things you like? It's a challenge even getting them to watch the same movies you like for free. No one's going to be spending money on your book. So you have to spend all this money on promotions, getting book bloggers to talk about your book, getting reviewers to write about your book. Because the more reviews you get, the more chances of people wanting to read your book. You have to spend money on making banners and ads and paying book promotion companies and sites and getting your book on emailing lists, just everything to get people to see your book. And after all this, they might not buy your book. But don't lose hope yet, because we all have to start somewhere. And eventually, you get a book sold, or 2, or 10, or 100. Number 3, let's address the elephant in the room. I'm a black girl. I write fantasy, and my fantasy is not based on African culture. It's definitely not what you classify as African literature. White people aren't interested in buying my book once they get to know what I look like, because they don't believe I have the qualifications to write about them or the topics they usually write about. And in my experience, people of color have been confused by the book I write because it's not talking about African culture. I've had people ask me why my book isn't African based, or why it doesn't have a black MC. but at the end of the day, it's fiction and it's fantasy. This is a world setting that doesn't exist, so there's freedom of choice in description and narrative. But this mindset shrinks my audience to this much. What I should have done from the get-go is get people used to the kinds of work I write and rule out any confusion on the kind of book I write and who my target audience is. Number 4, it's near impossible to get any profit from your work if you are selling on sites like Amazon and you are located in a country far off like Nigeria. The challenges you face are paying royalties, paying taxes, and currency conversion. When all percentages of these are cut, you're left with almost nothing. So if you're publishing for the first time, you don't have good promotion backings, you don't have a good audience, and you're making little profit, by the time your check or transfer comes through to you, you're left with really little from where you started from. So it's not like your book isn't selling, you're just not getting the returns from the book. But if you had done any of the previous 3 before number 4, you would have actually made profits. So don't be scared that if you actually go through this method, you wouldn't make money off your book. You just have to follow the rules, follow the guidelines, do a lot of research to know what you prefer before you dive into the world of self-publishing. If you're a self-published author and there's any challenge you faced, leave a comment below. If you're thinking of self-publishing, you could leave questions below. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next week. Bye.